Right, hello, welcome to everybody here in the PEP meeting, the Hampshire Personalisation Expert Panel, co-production group of service users, disabled people, carers, along with representatives from Hampshire County Council. Maybe we could quickly go round and people just introduce themselves. You can give enough detail or whatever as you want to. Let's start with the Guy trustee we have here in the room, John Evans.
Yes, I'm a disability rights consultant. I work with local authorities, disability organisations, and sometimes the government, and I'm really somebody who has been involved in independent living and disability rights for quite some time, and feel very passionate about it, but know that we still have some way to go, and co-production now I think is an essential part of that direction of travel.
Okay.
Barbara Crofton. I'm a service user and attend PEP. And that's
About it, okay.
Hello there, good afternoon. I am Rob Cliff. I'm the team leader for the direct payment team at Spectrum in Southampton. I'm also an independent consultant. I've been working on personalisation now for a number of years, and I find today very exciting. So thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jess Hutchinson. I'm Assistant Director responsible for Learning Disability Services from Hampshire County Council. Involved not only with the PEP but with the Learning Disability Partnership Board, which is a co-produced group.
Okay. Bernard?
Bernard Stagg, service user, and I'm also blind.
Okay.
I'm Rita, I'm a carer and a service user, and I chair Hampshire Neurological Alliance and sit on the co-production group for the Integrated Personal Commissioning Group.
Great, thank you.
My name is Margaret White, and I'm a parent of a young man with autism. I'm a member of Hampshire Autism Voice and co-chair of Hampshire Autism Partnership Board.
Okay.
Janet here. I have a daughter who has been using both adult, children's and healthcare for 38 years. I've cared for many pupils across care group during that time, and my husband also has used health and social care for the last 10 years. I'm chair of Carers Together in Hampshire, and I also am a member of the Learning Disability Partnership Board, and was one of the people that helped co-produce the Learning Disability Partnership Plan.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Ed Robson. I'm Senior Equality and Community Development Officer with Adult Services in Hampshire, and I've had various roles down the years, predominantly focused at developing ways for the department to work more co-productively with service users, carers and communities.
Okay, and you might have been Ed at the Toulon launch on Monday, where I interviewed him and Rachel live on the internet, which went very well, and it's now on YouTube if you want to see what they said. And my name is Robert Joy. I work for Spectrum Centre for Independent Living, and I have facilitated this group for about the past 8 years, when we set it up with Hampshire County Council, along with Carers Together and Hampshire Centre for Independent Living, and we felt it was really important, given all the changing within social care. Sorry about the musical interlude, but we felt it was really important in the ever-changing world of social care to make sure that we really do include service using and caring in helping to redesign social care, servicing and also the personalisation agenda. So maybe we can kick off by just discussing really why we think it important to have co-production. Anybody like to begin with that?
Well, okay then, I'll say something.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, I mean, co-production, I suppose, is an idea that emerged sometime in this country in about around 2006, 2007. But it's been around in the States for quite some time. And I think the importance of it is the fact that citizens can get engaged and involved with decisions about their lives and working in partnership with leaders and people from government, people from local government, to try and work out the best plans for possible for the future. And I think in the last 6 years, during the austerity period, I think the whole idea of co-production has become even more important, really, because it, with all the financial constraints, particularly on local authorities, I think this is a time when we need to be talking together and trying to work out solutions at difficult times and trying to do things differently. And I think co-production opens the doors to do some of that kind of work.
Okay. Anybody agree or disagree with that?
I have to agree with it. And so we should all agree with it, because that's exactly how we have to go ahead. It has to be co-production, particularly Hampshire County Council, because we do most of our needs are taken care of by, when I say taken care of, through sort of direct payments and that. And we should have a good say in what goes on and how, because we know what it is like to need that, to need the care, and therefore we should have some say.
Okay. Yeah.
I see co-production as being a two-way thing. It's not a one-way thing.
Yeah.
I see parents or carers and service users helping the county council rather than just them. To us, I see it's a two-way thing, and I think it's important to stress the co.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I didn't mean two-way. I didn't mean it was just us telling them.
Yeah.
I just meant that we should have a say in what they feel.
Yes, but for it to work properly, it has to be a two-way thing, and that also means that there has to be a change in mentality from Hampshire County Council in this case, or any council for that matter, and those who are service users and carers.
And what do you think that change in mentality should be?
Well, this is my personal view really, but I think that it takes quite how do you say, quite input into this from the Hampshire County Council individuals who have been perhaps more in control, to get them to understand that carers and service users have a voice and can enhance what they do. So
yeah.
That's what I feel. It's a two-way thing.
Yeah, Janet?
I think it's about working in partnership and everybody as being equals, because quite often people who are carers or are using services can come up with the option that suits them best, and in many cases it's a cheaper option than what is being imposed on them.
Okay, Chair?
I absolutely agree that it's beneficial not only from a rights perspective for people with disabilities, but also for the council to co-produce. I think you're absolutely right, John, that in this time of austerity, it's become more important that we do that. But I also think it's become more complex to do that. And one of the things I've been personally very grateful for is that we have a maturity of co-production, not only in this group, but through the partnership board and that history, which means that we have relationships where we can have difficult conversations together and challenging conversations, but that we hear each other and we both sides change their views accordingly. And I think that comes with time and with maturity, and as times get harder, those conversations are going to become more and more important. So one thing I think we need to make sure in Hampshire is that in every area relating to every care group, we do have that equal investment and maturity of a relationship, so we can have those difficult conversations. But I absolutely agree, it's mutually beneficial. It is not something that is just benefiting and about rights for people. It does help us make the right decisions, because people are the experts on their own situations and their own care.
I just want to raise a bit that Rob and I were at a meeting where it was suggested that although there were 3 service user carer people that came to the group, it was suggested by the then chair that they only needed 1 of us, and actually what we should have around the table was an equal number of service users and carers and the professionals. And we made that point very strongly, that if we're talking about equality, we're actually talking about listening to a number of voices and not being frightened of the fact, and I think that was the fear, that we might actually take over more than they wanted us to. And for me, it's actually, actually allowing us all to have the strength of being able to share the different views and picking up that. So it was quite interesting.
There are different questions. There's quite challenges in organisation around those types of things. I was having a discussion the other day. We wanted to, we're developing an approach, called something like using your strengths, or something to do with strengths, because as you know, we've been doing lots of work in care management around that, and wanted to think about that more widely around how we talk to the public and service users around that. And we wanted a fairly small group, and one of the things I struggle with is, so we wanted to start off with setting up what we needed to do with, say, about 15 people, and we decided, trying to decide who those people would be, in order to have a bigger co-production session afterwards involving far more people. But one of the struggles for Hampshire is that there is quite a level of politics with co-production about who it is actually that you need to invite to various elements, because you want to be inclusive, and I don't always get that right. But I think that there is, we need, sometimes the council just needs some simple help sometimes in understanding that and working out, okay, well, how do we represent X or Y? In learning disability, we do have the benefit, we have HARG, who are kind of our overarching advocacy group, and that helps us because that is one place that you can go in terms of representation that usually ends up in one person, but is actually representative of lots of self-advocacy groups across Hampshire. But then that's only one perspective, so it's trying to remember, and I've been criticised by Margaret Freefall, for example, for missing out people with autism. So there is quite a responsibility that I think we need help with in terms of making sure that we are truly inclusive, and we don't always get that right.
I think it is important to be inclusive, but today, I appear quite a confident kind of articulate person, but actually deep inside I have a lot of vulnerability, and I act today, and I hear it a lot from not just now Hampton, but other people I work with. A lot of the time that you hear things like, yeah, but we want to our other people, not just you and the PEP and whatever. Now that's fair enough, but actually what a lot of us then hear in Riding, we're not wanted. Now that's probably not what is meant by it, but actually I do think we need to have a discussion about actually if people are willing to put them down out there and actually kind of say we want to be involved. The last thing that we don't want to hearing, oh, you attend every meeting or you turn up at every event. We want to hear some different voices. Because actually, okay, you may want to hear some different voices, but that actually, I may interpret that and you don't want to hear my voice anymore. And so we've got to be quite careful.
I don't think I ever, hand on heart, I don't think I've ever felt there are too many people at a group, or there's somebody I don't want to come to a group. But one of the things I struggle with is that I've missed somebody. So I don't ever. I would say, certainly, I can only talk from my own perspective, that I really welcome, and particularly, Robert, the sort of value that experienced PEP members can bring to discussions are incredible. And you know, lots of individuals in this room we've used in lots of situations to sort of help us develop an issue, and I've been incredibly grateful for that. And so I think that feels like somebody, I'd hope that we weren't sounding that jaded about co-production, because I would hope that I certainly I've never felt like that, if that's any reassurance to you.
I think there's something in there around trying to move co-production to an organisational culture, and that's going to rely on trust, that's going to rely on including the voices that are already involved and taking steps to include further people additionally, rather than instead of.
Yeah. I think that what it sometimes doesn't feel like. Sometimes it just feels like you're saying, oh, we always get the same old people at the meeting. Well, actually, those same old people have given up an awful lot of time over an awful lot of years to affect change, you know. And it's a bit like the thing about always wanting everything to be innovative and you. Of course we want innovative and you, but sometimes old and reliable, you know, like I am, and John may be actually quite handy for you.
Absolutely, and I think it is about how we include all of that. One of the things I've been most encouraged by recently in the annual user survey that Hampshire County Council does is we asked an additional question about whether people felt they were able, had enough information, were able to get involved in wider discussions, things that went beyond a discussion around one individual's own personal care or support. And the results were broadly split into thirds. So about a third of the people we surveyed said, I've got enough opportunity to get involved in things like projects, thanks very much. About a third of people said, I'm not really interested in this. But there were another third of those people that we asked who said either, I am involved in some things, but I'd like to know about other things. And another, or part of that other third said, I'm not involved as much as I'd like to be. Can I have some more information, please? So I think that shows really good potential to try and grow the debate, to include a broader range of people. But I absolutely want to stick to the point that it's not instead of who the people we're talking to currently, it's additionally. And we need your help in that much as much as you need our help in terms of offering those opportunities up.
Okay.
I've noticed over the years, over a great number of years, that things are changing for the better. I mean, at first, it was literally a token, and they didn't really want you there, and you would find that if you read the notes afterwards, you were never mentioned, even though the information you gave them was much better than what they could involve. They didn't trust you, they didn't believe that you could possibly know anything. You were just disabled, so what would you know? They forgot that we had a brain and that we maybe were capable of using it. But that is changing, and it is changing, and they're no longer looking at us as people who don't know, but that people might know more than them in certain things, but also that they want us to get involved. They're not quite there with the full co-production. They've still got their work, they believe that their job, Hampshire County, what they do, we can't possibly know because we don't work there, and they haven't quite got there yet, but they are getting there. And I've seen so much change over the years. It's really got unbelievably better. I mean, we've all noticed it. haven't we?
Yeah, John and
No, can I
then
just pick up on what Ed said? I mean, it's encouraging what you say about those figures in terms of users and carers and the engagement of the extra and that shared knowledge, that shared information. But it's also, I think, co-production is about leadership. It's about it's about making things happen, making major decisions. So it's a question of bringing those two elements together, otherwise people can share information and be part of it and feel a benefit from it. But I think we need to take it further, and going on to what Jess said about being inclusive. It is difficult. I mean, I agree with you entirely. It's not easy for you to try and ensure that we get the right mix of people, but I think it's important that the more we can get involved, the better. Because as Robert says, even Robert and myself, I can go to a meeting and I'm just the only person there, and it is intimidating. Even though I'm articulate, I know what my views are, but if I'm sitting around a table with 24 other professionals, it's a difficult kind of dynamic. And I think that's, these are the kinds of issues to move co-production forward is what we, need to think about and move with.
I think there must be a new world and a change in the ask of co-producers as well. And I was thinking about the work I've been doing on IPC with everyone, and actually several groups of, so Hampshire Parent Carer Network, young people with disabilities, representation from the PEP, lots of people are coming together in one group to talk about IPC and My Life My Way in Hampshire, and I think that's been really exciting and brought together different perspectives and opened up a whole new world. But it must be, I think it's interesting, the issues across care group, because in the partnership board, for instance, one of the things we focus very hard on is accessible meetings, for example, and that does slow the meeting down so that less issues can probably be discussed than will be discussed here, but does mean that group can take part. So there are challenges like that as well in co-production, aren't there, around how you balance those types of things out to make sure people have got a say. So I think it's all right that there are lots of different groups, but there's something in some situations about how they come together, and I think we'll see more of that in the future, which is a challenge for you guys in terms of how that works.
I think that's part of the bit about trust as well, because we could have.
hang on there, Dave. Not going far.
I mean, I've got 2 points, but they're both fairly quickly. I think one of the issues is actually the challenge for the staff of organisations. So the challenge is actually at your side. It's how do you get your staff to understand what co-production really means. I went to a meeting, in fact I've been to 2 meetings and they're very similar, where I asked who had been involved in the preparation of this plan that was given to us, what service users and carers had been involved in it, and there was this sort of shuffling around, and actually the answer was, well, we thought we'd get the plans ready before we shared it with you. Now, that is not co-production, and I think staff in health and social care do need training in the fact that if you start with people, if you start with a blank piece of paper with a couple of ideas and you listen before you do your plans, you actually save time and money in the long run, but actually you get a better service, and so we need some real training happening. But I was particularly concerned when at a meeting that Ed and I were both at, where this lady came to present this new policy for Hampshire, and she produced 2 slides. One was they were both stereotypical. One was a 38-year-old man who went to the pub and did things, and the other was older people over 65. And it was, you need to talk to them carefully, and you need to talk to them, you need to sort of listen to what they have to say. I mean, but it was so patronising that everybody in the room picked up this. And I asked the question, how many service users and carers have you had involved in developing this policy, which you are now going to launch? None.
No.
Although I should point out that that wasn't a Hampshire County Council meeting.
I do.
No.
I realise. But you know, so I think we need a lot of training and awareness for people. Also for service users and carers, because some service users and carers who are new to it or are only just getting involved also need to know that their views are important. So I think that's the one thing we don't do at the moment really very well, is to actually bring people along with us. It's a big problem.
Okay, Ed.
I was just going to say, I think that part of that, in terms of picking up on what Jess and Anne are saying, is a bit around trust. So we could try and grow one meeting to try and discuss 100 issues, or we could try and develop 100 meetings each to discuss one issue. But then that's going to involve is that not everybody can be engaged in every decision about everything, and that's just a part and parcel of the way that we have to structure things as an organisation in order to get things done. A director can't be involved in all of the discussions that he would want to be, I'm sure. And so the same goes for all of the different discussions that we might have around a commissioning strategy for mental health, or one for to support disabled people. But we can't all be involved in every discussion about everything, and so that needs some of that maturity that Jess was talking about on both sides, on both sides of the debates, and to make sure that we trust each other in the decisions that we're making.
Okay, Rob.
I mean, I think it's really important. All of these points are equally as crucial, but I think it's really important to celebrate where co-production has really worked really well, and in Hampshire particularly. And one group that I was involved with and had the pleasure to be involved with all the way through was the Positive Partnerships strategy. And I feel as a person that sat on that group, I can now look at that document and say, I for one had major impact on the finished article. Now it's not perfect, none of us on the group here is perfect, but the point is that it was completely co-produced from start to finish. It took ages to do, but that was because it was done by the book. It was done in a very co-produced way. The other thing that's been a success, well, there have been lots of successes, but the other thing that is worth highlighting is a piece of work that you did, Ed, around actually recognising that when service users are involved at whatever level, it needs to be recognised in whatever way is the most appropriate. And for your, and I forget the name of the policy, the service user contributions.
So co-production allowances, I think we ended up calling
Yeah, but that was a massive piece of work that took ages, and actually, we can very easily lose sight of those things that have gone well, as well as celebrating maybe things that we need to be doing a bit better.
Okay.
On that point, Robin, can I just put Jess on the spot? I mean, what's happening with positive partnerships now?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was a really, as Ross has clearly outlined, a really excellent piece of work that was co-produced. But in terms of now the practical application of that, I mean, where do you think that's at?
What would you like to see that happen as a result of that work?
What would I like to see? Well, I mean, I would like to see it more, not just a policy, but just, so it could be spreading its wings, as it were, around all the groups. And I suppose, in a sense, that might be done, but I think it's important not to let it rest.
Yes.
Yeah,
Could I just to give a bit of information? I mean, Ian Crow initially said that there would then be an implementation and action plan that came out of that, and that would be produced by the autumn. Then obviously you had that issue around the domiciliary care framework, we won't go into, but and then that kind of, I think, rather diverted him off from doing that. So actually at the fair we were very clear that although the strategy will go through, now what was going to happen, and unfortunately not a lot has happened.
I suppose I can say to some extent the transformation in 17 has taken that forward
Yeah.
in some practical ways where lots of us around this table have been involved with all the different, aspects and work streams going on with that. But,
One of the other issues, of course, is the fact that internally you had quite a big issue with the fact that Ian, as far as I'm aware, is the only PD overseeing all PD kind of services as well, because obviously you did have a structure that allowed a little bit more flexible working. That's now been taken from under your feet, and it has gone into the kind of the long grass. But I know a meeting has taken place with a partner, but the result of that meeting is yet to be, he's still waiting for answers, because I suspect there isn't any answers, because we're still having to think about the outcome.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? We have been going through our own internal processes about thinking around how we restructure again due to the kind of the financial issues, and I think that and care at home and other things do sometimes mean that it detracts from pieces of work that are really valuable but are more longer term things that needed to be embedded, and I'm happy to take that on and make sure that whatever happens we have that there, because I know that because of whatever reason to do with structures, perhaps because there's a smaller teams involved in learning disability, we have been treating the plan and the partnership board as business as usual, and we haven't had to move away from those things whilst we've been working on transformation to 2017. So I think you've got absolutely the right to expect that we would look at those, making sure that positive partnerships is embedded as a business as usual continuation and implementation piece of work. So I will take that away and talk to Ian, of course. I mean, I think as you say, there are elements around our the way we're structured that haven't necessarily helped that along, but I think we can certainly address that. And as I've said, from my perspective, transformation means we have to have those things in place across every care group, because changes are going to continue in the foreseeable future. That we need to talk to you about all of those issues at an early stage from whatever whatever care group is affected. In that sense.
I think that's a really
Okay, hang on. There are quite a few people. Go ahead. Margaret, I think, wanted to make a
something
point.
that Ed said about getting people round the table and too many people and all the rest of it. Using what Hampshire Office Voice does, we have a network, and through that network we send out questionnaires and feedback, make reports. Those reports are discussed at Hampshire Office Voice, and then taken to Hampshire Office Partnership Board to follow through. So there are ways of getting out there to other people through networks for a particular, in my case it would be autism. Okay, so it's just a point I wanted to make, but it's sort of moved on to other things.
Yeah, Bernard.
We're talking about co-production here, but the two lots that are missed out most of all are the deaf and the blind, because for some unknown reason neither of us seem to exist in the county council's eyes. It's strange, but it's one of those things, like all the paperwork from Hampshire County Council, when you get it, right at the back it's going to say this can be got in other formats. Now basically that should be on the front of every document that is sent out. Why leave it to the back? Somebody struggles their way through and then realises, I can just make a phone call, it's there.
Yeah, good point.
This is a document that was launched on Monday, and right at the front it has Bernard, it has clearly easy read summary of our report and various ways in which you can actually access. And that's like 2 pages in.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, but it's not on the front.
It is at the front. It's at the front after terminology and members of the commission, and then forward and then ballot that hits you. It's not at the back.
What would you like to see Hampshire do to take it forward, Bernard? I mean, you say that they don't listen to the deaf people and blind people and other people with impairment. What kind of thing could they look at?
Well, I think it's just a thing that has grown over the years, Robert, and I mean, for years and years, we weren't even considered to be disabled, as strange as it may sound. And lots of things, blind people. I mean, the thing that worries me most of all is, and I know we're not at this meeting to talk about it, but where does a blind person get a job today? There isn't any jobs out there. I was one of the last of the old-fashioned blind people that made baskets, but they don't even do that now.
I think it might be interesting to talk to some of our sensory services managers actually, because I think we do have people with visual impairments who work for the county council, and we do quite a lot of engagement through those sensory teams with lots of organisations in the community and voluntary sector that represent the views and concerns of people with sensory impairments. So sometimes we might not feel that there's very much going on around certain areas, but I think we can do more to explain what is and isn't happening in those areas, and that makes it much easier for service users and carers to make recommendations about what needs to be improved. But sometimes we need to be a bit more clear and a bit more explicit about what is going on.
Okay, any John, did you have
I mean,
final?
I know that we're just about ready to round this up. I'm not sure how far and wide this is going to go or who's going to see it, but I mean, a point I would like to make, which might be very useful for other authorities, is last year in Hampshire, 2015, we went through an unprecedented leadership change where we lost a director, we lost 3 assistant directors, all of whom we'd been working together with for many years, trying to get to where we are now, discussing co-production, trying to move it forward. And we were very nervous and very uncertain what the future held. We were going to have a new team come in. We didn't know who the director was going to be and what the rest of the makeup of the assistant directors. However, having said that, I mean, after that uncertainty, I mean, it does seem that we have landed on our feet now almost, not quite. We've still got some way to go, but we've got a director who only came in as assistant director a year ago and then took the top job. But we have maintained, I think, people who have been around for a while in Hampshire. And so there was continuity that managed to survive that big change, because I think, I really did fear we would lose a lot of what we've gained over the last 20, 30 years, with that change. But, we are in a position, I think now, consolidation and trying to still move together, and with Jess here today and others, where we can hopefully maintain that kind of direction.
Great, I think that's a good note to leave it on. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you for watching. We will edit it together and put it on YouTube.